So, you want to get better at Apex. Do you find that you're getting cooked faster than Gordon Ramsay sears a steak in your lobbies? Or are you actually Gordon Ramsay, doing the cooking, and want to go from gold to diamond, or better yet, diamond to predator? Well, then I've got a surefire way of improving. And no, it's not the old one simple trick to win games shtick. Improvement takes time and effort, and the better you get, the harder it gets to improve. That's why only the best are the best. So if you want to take your game to the next level, stick with me for the next few minutes and I can show you the way. The first thing to do is to prioritize. If you're anything like me, then you don't have any time to waste. So you need to figure out how to min-max your time. Figure out which aspects of the game you've mastered, or you've at least peaked on, and then decide which aspects of the game you need to work on most. Typically, the best way to improve fast is to find the low-hanging fruit and improve on that first. You'll see a huge boost as you pick off these things. The reason to start with your weakest point first is that there are diminishing returns as you get better and better at something. Take this as an example of diminishing returns. We all know that your grandma's sedan would get destroyed if it was put up against a Lamborghini. But what's the difference between a Lamborghini and a Ferrari? Well, it's measurable, I'm sure, but it's minuscule as compared to the first gap. So, like grandma's car needs to do a little to improve a lot, so can you. I'm going to break this down into 3 buckets of things you can improve upon: mechanical skill, game knowledge, and mentality. First is mechanical skill. These are things like aim, movement, learning how to use cover. Now, aim, this is the basic building block of all shooters, and as a new or bad player, working on your aim can often yield the quickest results. And then movement, this is one of, if not the, signature aspects of Apex. It's why I keep coming back to this stupid game over other shooters like Call of Duty, Fortnite, or even the finals. They're fun, they just don't feel as good to me. Now, it's not hard to learn basic movement skills, slide jumping, bunny hopping, and ledge boosting. But once you learn the basics, you can learn how to use and incorporate other skill sets like wall bouncing, tap strafing if you're on mouse and keyboard, super gliding, zipline shenanigans, and the list goes on. And then there's cover. Now, Apex isn't a cover-based shooter like Gears of War, but it is a shooter. It still relies on the principle of hiding behind cover, just like people do in actual gunfights. These mechanical things are typically things that you have to be in the game to improve on. The next bucket is game knowledge. Now, game knowledge, in my opinion, comes down to how well you know the game's systems, locations, and story beats of a game in Apex Legends. And no, I don't mean the story that Respawn has come up with. It's interesting, but I'm not sure it has any bearing on how well you play in any given game. Now, game knowledge obviously bleeds into skills, as you need to know something of how the mechanics work to execute them. So, what do I consider game knowledge? Well, general knowledge of points of interest, how they're laid out, how they're connected to each other, and how they interact with each other. The next thing that game knowledge entails is circle pulls. So, given the first 2 circles, where will the final circle end up? And then if you know the first 3 circles, you should be able to make a really good guess as to where the final circle will be. And then your rotations, the physical route of where to rotate. Given that you know where the ring will end, how do you get there? What are the common routes from your given POI to the final circle? Where are the primary choke points? What fights typically happen along the way? So the next part of game knowledge would be abilities. What do they do? What do they sound like? When do people want to use them? How do you avoid getting caught in them? How do you counter them? The last part is your mentality. This incorporates things like game sense, which POI to land in. Where did the rest of the lobby go? When do you have enough loot to push? Which fights should you take? When do you fully commit to a fight? And when do you retreat from a fight? Macro rotations. Which rotations should you take to get to the next ring? We talked earlier about knowing what rotations are available, but this is the point where we have to make a decision. Which rotation is best? And then you have micro rotations. When, why, and how should you move from cover to cover? Reposition your team in a building. Decide which teams to push on. The last bucket here is your attitude. Apex is a hard game, and the RNG gods can be mean. The SBMM machine can feel like it's out to kill you. Your teammates might end up being dumber than a box of rocks. That does not give you leave to lose your control, to rage at the game, your teammates, or the guys that just killed you. When you lose your cool, you more than likely will end up playing worse. You'll find that you no longer are having fun. You're just going through the motions. So, back to the original question. How do we get better? Well, we know what our 3 buckets are, so first, we need to figure out what we need to work on. Which aspects of the game are you lacking in? What mechanical skill can you work on in your next gaming session? I know I need to improve my aim. I sometimes can't hit the broadside of a barn. I mean, if I was piloting the Titanic, it wouldn't have sunk, because I wouldn't have been able to hit the stupid iceberg. Where is your game knowledge lacking? I know that I could get way better at knowing how the ring closes and predicting it. My games would improve drastically from working on that one specific thing. Now that we've figured out some things that we need to improve upon, you make a plan. For your mechanical skills, plan to spend some time before each gaming session to work on the things that you need to improve upon. The firing range is great for this. You can improve in all kinds of things, from shooting to movement to grenade tossing. Maybe get a third-party app like Kovacs or R5 Reloaded and spend some time in their trainers. And then for game knowledge, spend time watching your favorite YouTuber or streamer. I'm going to be streaming on Wednesday night, so you can come on by and hang out if you want. I can't guarantee you'll learn anything or get better, but you might feel better by watching just how bad I am. Now, I'd suggest watching their streams or stream replays where you get full game replays. Highlights aren't really important to learning what we're looking for here, although they are entertaining, and you should totally watch mine, because I said so. So as you watch, study. Try to understand their thought process. Ask them questions during their sessions. Ask them why and how they made the decisions they did. A lot of these guys are really chill, and they love to talk about these things. The thing you're going for here is a greater understanding of smaller decisions. These smaller decisions go a long way in making you a better player. So study the players who are better than you and see what you can learn. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Join me on Wednesday nights to hang out and maybe play some games. I'm working on a Discord server so that folks can have an outlet other than here to tell me just how bad at Apex I am. I'll have details for that in the near future. So come on by and hang out. I'd love to hear from you. And if you don't, then maybe I'll see you out there.
Oh my god.
Go, John!
She's healing or rezzing another one. Alright, she's right here coming around. Yeah!
Is that the whole team?
The whole team.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go!